Welcome back to Mission 360, where we're talking about church planting. Next up, we're traveling back to Southeast Asia.
Thanks, Gary. Here with me in Bangkok, Thailand is Scott Griswold. Welcome, Scott. Glad to have you with me here in Bangkok. This is old stomping grounds for you. How long did you spend here in Thailand?
We were here 10 years, quite a while.
And what were you doing while you were here?
I was the director of what's now called the Center for East Asian Religions.
Wow, so, but beyond your 10 years here, you were also nearby in another country.
You know, we came straight out of seminary, went to Cambodia to church plant there with Adventist Frontier Missions.
And when you came to Cambodia, what shape was the church in? What was happening there in Cambodia?
We had no church there at that time. The only members we had were about 300 leftover refugees on the border in the camps. And the church was just about to get started. There was about to be someone to move there with the Cambodian Adventist Mission.
So when you came into Cambodia, how did you reconnect with this group that had dispersed everywhere?
We just started praying that they would show up because they'd been repatriated all over the country. We had gone to the camps and helped them get ready and told them, you're the church, wherever you go, start a church in your house.
Wow.
And slowly, with the Cambodian Adventist Mission's work and our work, we began to find them where they would just show up on our doorstep and say, we need a job, or we need some help getting started. We don't know what we're doing here.
Wow. So during that time in Cambodia, you mentioned one kind of special memory that kind of gave you hope that God's word was taking root.
We were all struggling. There were really no pastors per se, but they were becoming pastors, just trying to plant churches like we were. And so as time went by and we all felt we were struggling, we would press together and meet together. When we were there was absolutely no literature. We had nothing but a Bible and some old songbooks and a few pieces of old Voice of Prophecy lessons.
Wow.
So we decided to get together and just talk through how do we share the gospel with Cambodian people and make our own lessons from scratch that would specifically fit the people.
So you adapted lessons to the context in Cambodia.
Yeah, we wrote them from scratch. We talked with the local people, and then we'd try them out. We got a local artist to draw pictures so it would look like Cambodia, and then we began to use them to share with people.
Now that experience kind of became the springboard for your work in Thailand with the Center for East Asian Religions.
Yes, I think because we really had nothing for Buddhist people, specific lessons or Bible studies or an approach, that a few years later after we'd gone back to America, we received the call to come out and work with the center.
At 10 years, I'm sure there are a lot of stories. Mention one highlight for you from that time.
I think it has to be just recently going back, after moving back to the United States, going back to Ayutthaya, the center part of Thailand. You just for miles after miles, you will go without seeing a single Seventh-day Adventist church, almost no Christian churches, but Buddhist temple after temple.
Wow.
Stretches on and on. And we moved to that area because there was no Christian church there. We wanted to, even though it wasn't our job to church plant, we were trying to encourage other people to do so. We felt we had to do what we were asking others to do. And so we saw a little church grow up out of our house that has grown bit by bit through different struggles, and now there is a group meeting there. And when we went back, what we saw was not so much people we had brought to the Lord, though there were some of those, others have moved, but new people who continue to come, a light shining there in the middle of Buddhist Thailand.
Must be very satisfying to see that God is still using that effort that we put in, that you and your family, all of the time and energy and the creativity, that God is still using that to bless the community.
It's very encouraging because when you are doing church planting, there's almost nothing more difficult or frustrating that you just pour your heart and soul into, and you wonder where the results are going to be, what's really going to come. And you see many people go away and a few others get strong, and it's those that you've taken time to really disciple, involve in the work, that then take the work and run with it farther than you ever could.
Wow. Now, last couple years, you made a big transition. Tell us a little bit about that transition.
It's difficult to decide if you should ever go back to the States because the needs are so great and you've learned the language and the culture. but family different issues, children headed for college, parents getting older. We decided finally, after putting it off, to go back 2 years ago, and we moved back.
And what is the focus of your ministry now? You haven't lost mission, but what exactly are you focusing on in your work now?
I work with ASAP Ministries, which raises support, financial and prayer support for workers out here in Southeast Asia. So it was a way to stay connected with the needs here while being back in America. And yet, besides the needs out here, as we came back to the States, we saw just huge amounts of immigrants, refugees, international students moving in from all over the world, and not a lot being done among them. And the church is doing what they can, especially among the ones from Myanmar, the Karen. But we have people coming from Somalia, Sudan, Afghanistan, Bhutan, countries we cannot get into with a missionary visa, where the people, if they made a decision for Christ, would get killed. But there they are, thousands of them in America, unreached people, with just wide open for mission work among them.
And yet we miss those opportunities all the time, college students, the refugees, the immigrant groups, because either we're not aware or we bypass them. And so you're bringing a little emphasis now.
Not only an emphasis, but we've actually been able to put together a cross-cultural mission training kit called Reach the World Next Door. Great. And that's available at Advent Source and other places, but the real heart of it is simply go befriend your neighbors, get out there, meet them, care for them, help them, learn and listen about their religion and culture, and then share your story, and God is going to reach them.
Scott, I really appreciate you taking time to talk with me for a few minutes. It's really inspiring to see how God's hand has led you over the years, from Cambodia to Thailand and back to the U.S., and a lot of stories in between that we'll have to hear another time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.